Recently, Abdul Malik Abdul Karim was sentenced to 30 years in prison. Abdul is a US-based ISIS conspirator, and back in May 2015, he got quite upset about a Draw Muhammad contest that took place in Garland, Texas. You see, Abdul was furious that some Americans were embracing their First Amendment rights by drawing caricatures of the Prophet, so he wrote a very terse letter to the editor of the local newspaper. No, actually, he didn't do that. Instead, Abdul helped two other men plot a terrorist attack at the venue holding the contest. His two heavily armed accomplices, Elton Simpson and Nadir Sufi, died in a shootout with the police outside the venue. For his part, Abdul maintains he's innocent. He called his prosecution a, quote, misguided effort and stated, quote, I feel as though I've been charged stereotypically. He also added the following: the Quran does not direct anyone to act out in violence. Now, this story caught my eye for a couple of reasons. For one thing, yours truly was covering that very same Draw Muhammad contest for the Rebel. So I'm very happy to see that Abdul will be an elderly Islamist by the time he's released from prison, just as I was delighted to see his terrorist cronies being dispatched to the afterlife to presumably enjoy the company of those 72 voluptuous black-eyed virgins. But the timing of his sentencing is interesting given what's occurring in Canada right now. I speak of the odious M103, a motion that could very well pave the way for the judiciary to outlaw that which is called Islamophobia, even though the term hasn't even been defined yet. In that regard, M103 is actually scarier than those three Sharia stooges that descended upon the Curtis Culwell Center almost 2 years ago. I mean, it's one thing for a handful of Islamist thugs to put the brakes on free speech, but it's quite another to see the elected officials in a Western democracy attempt to do so via legislation that resembles a Pandora's box. Therefore, before M103 becomes Bill Whatever, leading to an entrenched law forbidding any and all criticism of Islam, even by Muslims, I thought it would be prudent to display the entry that I submitted at the Draw Muhammad contest. You see, folks, I love freedom of speech and freedom of expression and freedom of the press. Did I mention the first prize was $10,000 US? Oh, I really love US greenbacks. So before it's actually illegal to show you such an image in Canada, here's what I submitted in what was, alas, a losing cause. Now, full disclosure, the idea for the illustration was indeed mine, but the artwork was outsourced to a bona fide artist who, for obvious, albeit disheartening reasons, prefers to remain anonymous. As you can see, the cartoon depicts a dove, or is it a seagull, chirping like a cuckoo and decked out in a suicide vest. He's springing forth from Muhammad's turban while the background is consumed in flames. What does it all mean, you ask? Good question. For me, it's a commentary on the fallout that occurs whenever caricatures of the Prophet are published, be it the Danish cartoons or that Charlie Hebdo cover. As we've seen all too often, critical debate of these cartoons typically culminates in an orgy of violence and bloodshed. At the end of the day, this is the quandary the civilized world faces. The fact that, unlike religions such as Christianity and Judaism, Islam has yet to undergo a reformation. And disturbingly, much of the Islamic world, I regret to say, is illiterate. This in turn provides the ingredients for a perfect storm, one in which frenzied rioters take to the streets, hell-bent on death and destruction over a perceived insult thanks to a cartoon? So enjoy this little illustration and others like them while you still can, folks, as your elected officials look to make Islamophobia a criminal offense. People like me in the not too distant future might be deemed enemies of the state, never to be heard from again. For the Rebel.media, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies. Like what you just saw? Then click subscribe below and never miss another Rebel video.